Here in studio to break down the women's basketball run to tying their best record in school history is head coach Carla Nelson. Coach, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
So when we talked about this season and we're recapping everything that kind of happened, the first game of the year at Harding, as we've talked about several times, was kind of a weird one to say the least. Mm-hmm. If I would have came up to you after that game and said, most wins in school history, conference title and NSIC North title, totally possible for this team, what would you have said?
At that point in time, probably you were crazy. But, I also knew that we were a lot better than what we had played in that particular game. And there was a lot of season ahead after that.
So what kind of led to getting that 15-game win streak so early on? And what does it take to string together that many wins that kind of defined a lot of this regular season?
Well, first off, you have to you need a little luck, which we did have some luck. But when I look at this past this team this past season, I thought defensively we were pretty good for the most part all year long. And then the other thing we did is we valued the basketball. Right now, statistically in Division II, we're number one in the country in fewest turnovers per game, which for a team that I've coached is a rarity. That's never happened before. So that played a huge part in the fact that we maximize a lot of our offensive possessions. Then the other thing you have to look at is, we had tremendous leadership from Natalie Van Wy, Jess Hart, Drew Sanis, Cass Thorson. You have to have good leaders, and I thought that that's what we had, and that contributed to this, the success we had this year.
And when you compare this team, the last time you won a conference championship was the 04-05 season. Do you have any similarities, or is this just a completely different group?
Well, I would definitely say it's completely different. The 04-05, much more experienced basketball team. We had a lot of senior leadership, junior leadership. We didn't play a lot of young players at that point in time. This year's team, we depended heavily on our freshman class, and for the most part, they delivered throughout the majority of the season. Mm-hmm. And so I would say that was one of the glaring differences. The other difference would be this team was a better defensive team than that team. That team was a better offensive team than this team is.
And when you look at the whole season, was there any kind of moments that stood out for you that are worth recapping as highlights? The things that stand out to me, Webby, would be the losses. So I don't really want to get into that. But yeah, you're a coach.
Yeah, for the most part, this season was enjoyable. It seemed like after Christmas we were, it seemed like there's something going on big every weekend where we could tie something, move up in a ranking, securing something. So a lot of things happened. I thought this team did a great job of handling all the things that were happening at the end of the season, because those things could have become overwhelming at some point in time. But I felt like they were mature beyond their years in some ways.
And when we talk about some of the accomplishments of this year, all the wins, the streak, all those trips that you've made consecutively now to the postseason, mm-hmm. and also Coach of the Year. So I know you don't like talking about yourself too much, but what does that honor mean to you, knowing all the other coaches in the league and what kind of teams that are out there?
Well, first of all, I have tremendous respect for all the coaches in our league. So when you are picked by your peers as Coach of the Year, it does speak volumes. Mm-hmm. So I appreciate that. It speaks volumes for the team that you're coaching at that time. The other thing is, it's not just about me. It's, Allison Swenson puts in a lot of work. She's very deserving of this award also. If there was the Assistant Coach of the Year, she should have gotten that. And then you look at just all the past players and the fan base, the alums that follow us. They're all involved in that. It's just not about me. It just so happens that, I'm the one that gets the award, which, makes me feel somewhat uncomfortable, but yet very proud, because I think it represents so much more than just what I am or who I am.
Awesome. And the loss, unfortunately, this year of Nat and Jess.
Yep.
talked about youth. Obviously, we can't talk about some of the kids that we're talking to now with recruiting and all that. But what is the Dragon women's basketball team going to look like on the floor at the beginning of next year?
Well, we have our core group back, and that will start with, Drew Sanis, Cass Thorson, Shannon Gallagher, who really had a great year for us. And I sometimes, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention her, but it's going to start there. And then it's going to trickle down, especially into Jackie Volkert, and then into that sophomore class, which got a lot of experience this year. And then hopefully we bring those freshmen along. But, we're going to look very similar, but with more experience, which will be fun because I can go into practice or we on a road trip. We've already played at a certain facility, which people don't realize that our team hadn't even played at a majority of these gyms. So that will be nice. I just think the experience factor will be the big difference with this team. But otherwise, we're going to look very similar to what we did this year.
Similar to a conference championship team?
Well, I would like to think that, we have a chance to make a run for a conference title again, and then it's to get back to that regional and not make sure that it doesn't end the way it did this past season.
Well, I hope not, and I hope all the things and the outlook on next year definitely looks bright. But thank you for joining us here on Dragons Live, and we'll talk soon.
Thanks, Webby.
Thank you. All right, we're going to keep you right here as we recap the women's basketball accomplishments for this year. The Dragons were 24-5 overall and 20-2 in the NSIC, like we said, winning the NSIC championship, their first since the 2004-5 season. Their second straight North championship was this year, with 24 wins, tying for the most in school history. Their 15-game win streak was just one away from breaking the school record. 15 ties it. They've had 17 straight trips to the postseason under head coach Carla Nelson. Drew Sanis was the individual standout as an All-American honorable mention and NSIC Player of the Year. The team led the nation in the fewest turnovers per game. And Carla Nelson, congratulations once again for her 300th win and Coach of the Year.